Double gas before core.
Yes.
My mind just exploded.
I'm gonna do a 17 pylon. Scout after my 17 pylon. Now what's cool about this is, by the time the gateway finishes, normally you're sitting at approximately 90 minerals if you do it correctly, if you time it really well. Which means you only have to wait a couple seconds before you get your core up there. So your core is finishing pretty much on time. You're going to be starting your core at 18. You're going to be cutting probes for about a second. And after that, you're going to turn up your Nexus again for the third time. Now, here's why am I scouting him? By now, he's going to have Marines out. He's going to have his stuff out. But all I'm looking for is going to be his spawn location. I don't really care about seeing exactly what he has, because usually by the time I scout him and see what he's going to have something to ward away my probe. I'm not gonna see it anyways. What this is good for, I'm already getting an early advantage by getting my gas early, which is gonna lead me into doing something like taking a faster, so I could get my gates up, so I get my gates. But now I could go into more of a harass. I could go into fast Blink Stalker for doing a Blink Stalker rush, or a Dark Templar rush, or something involving Stargate play. I want to do a Void Ray with 2-gate Stalker pressure, which I love doing. That I have to remake that build actually. That's actually one of my favorite builds. So I'll do that. Let's do at a gate, at a Stargate.
I just fixed my lag. I feel so proud.
Very nice, Jshore.
Because Steam decided to download an update. Go figure.
Decided to download an update.
Yep.
Randomly during at the end, of course, of all times. And it
honestly,
basically
that's probably why I was lagging the entire time. Honestly.
Probably was. Probably was. And that's basically this build right here in a nutshell. We're not going to be scouting. This is a different type of scout. We're not really looking. We're looking for where he spawns, for this pressure, this form of harassment to hit him. So we don't have to. At the end, it's not like we're going to forego scouting altogether. We're still going to be doing scouting. We're going to be saying, "Oh look, Marines." Actually, he turned out to be Terran. He was actually random, but he actually was Terran. We see Marines. A probe dies. We don't see anything. But what we do see is his spawn location. It's not like we don't see anything. We know where we spawned, and that's actually going to be pretty big. So this is actually pretty nifty. I like this build. I'm actually going to be planning on using this a lot more on 4-player maps versus Terran. When I'm not doing something like that, goes to 1-gate expand that I kind of made up, is going to be this double gas. Now, where I can go from there is the question. Should I do something like that 2-gate Stargate play? Because the problem with those harassments, it always requires a ton of gas. And you never have enough as Protoss in the early game. Obviously, I'm not going to do something like take too fast of a Nexus to get the extra gas. It's not going to be much of a rush then. But if I take that second gas early, and I can afford it because I don't scout something like a 13 scout or a 9 scout or anything like that, then I can afford the 14 gas and 15 gas and still get my 17 pylon instead of a 16 pylon, which won't supply block me. And I could get my 18 core. And I normally have to cut about 3 seconds between the timing between my gateway and the actual cybernetics core. I'll have to cut probes after I get this core down by about, I would have about, I'll go back down to 0. I just have to wait from 0 to 50 minerals again, which doesn't take too much longer. Maybe another 2 or 3 seconds of a probe cut. But you make that up by doing more crunch boost on your probes, essentially. So it works out really nice. It's actually pretty tight. Good, nice of a build. And this is an example of something you can do on a 4-player map versus Terran.
He's gonna have people scratching their heads wondering how this guy got into Masters, and even more importantly, why they lost to this moron who did a build that no one's ever heard of.
Exactly, pretty much. Exactly, and they're looking at the replay like, what is this?
What the heck just happened, and why did I lose to it?
It's definitely cool. I was trying to figure out, well, actually, what encouraged that build is I was always trying to figure out what I can do for getting more gas. And I was always trying to figure out gas timings. Okay, 14 gas is pretty standard. It's like basically the soonest you can get it, almost. Without interfering with your supply blocks and pylons and stuff like that. And I figured, okay, normally I could get the other gas, but then it completely destroys your timings because you're doing the scouting. Then you don't have enough for another probe. But you actually, this is an example where that small amount of income from that probe, that extra 40 minerals per 30 seconds, will actually make up for the fact that you're doing something like getting that gas a little bit earlier. It makes the timings a lot more smoother. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I definitely like the build and plan on using it a lot more. So be sure to check that out. I haven't really. It's just like a new pattern I've made in terms of my build for a harass form. Definitely good for either. I would say good for anything. If it's 2-gate Stargate play or Blinkstalker Rush for sure. That's always viable versus Terran. Dark Templar Rush I have to play around with more. I haven't done that in a long time. But I'm sure anything gas related is really going to be fine for it. I know some people do this. I don't. But people do two base Colossus rushes. I'm sure you could do something like a 1-base Colossus rush with that strategy. You can actually get that going too. I think one person did it. A couple did that kind of strat. But it's like a 1-base or a 2-base or whatever you prefer.
Mm-hmm.
With a 2 Colossus rush with a few gateway units, just a few. Like 2 Zealots and 2 Sentries and 2 Colossus. It ends up surprisingly working well, considering that you have no gateway army. Well, that's the build in a nutshell. What do you think about that, Jshore?
That looks insanely different, but also quite interesting.
Figured I'd tie it up with...
Every time I try to create a build, which is never, but it just doesn't work, you know.
Which is never. Of course it wouldn't work if it's
You know,
never.
but if I did, it would go basically like this: 9 pylon, 13 gate, gas, insert 5 minutes of random stuff here, followed by floating 2,000 minerals and 1,000 gas. And that would be my build.
That would be the Jshore build. Alright guys, any questions? I figured we've been doing this for like a little over an hour. Does Terran still have that unstoppable 1-1-1 build? Actually they do, but a lot of Protoss players have figured out how to stop that unstoppable 1-1-1 build, so they stopped doing it. Now what they have done is they've tried to invent new creative ways to do that 1-1-1 build, such as Blue Flame Hellion Marine. And that sometimes works, because if you do something like a fast expand to counter the 1-1-1, the Blue Flame Hellions will rape your probes, and the Marines will basically clean up your army. Normally the 1-1-1, the original, was like Siege Tank, Banshee, or Cloak Banshee, depending on which one you fought, Marines, and SCVs. And it was an all-in. So people have been figuring out new creative ways to make that reoccur and to defeat Protoss. So definitely it's definitely still out there. Different versions of it is out there. I've already went up against one of them. You still need to watch out for it on the ladder. Any more questions, guys, before we wrap this up? Other than the sacrifice Jshore, I don't think we're gonna.
I think I disconnected from the chat because nothing's showing up. Plus, Flash player crashed.
I don't know. It is possible. Maybe Jshore needs to be replaced by Wumbo and Duke. Wumbo won't have a mic until Christmas. Alright, I think we're going to wrap this up, Jshore. Any final words on this?
No, that's basically it. I think...
Oh, we have a question.
Oh, really?
Yes, we have a question. Except it's not in stream chat, it's through StarCraft, apparently.
Does Terran still have the unstoppable 1-1-1?
His question
I don't
is,
know.
when do we get to play?
Oh.
Okay. I guess after this. Smiley face. Alright guys, so we're going to wrap this up. Don't have any more closing words right now. Everyone is gone. I just noticed that Mineral Bandit. I was like, wait a minute. So everybody's left. Everybody's gone for now. Don't worry. We're going to bring up some more interesting topics as the weeks go by. We'll be uploading all of these to YouTube. They're going to be great, especially once we have a series going. And guys, if you have any questions, well, I guess you could pass the word on since everybody's gone. But if anybody has any questions on Protoss, what do they do during certain things? Maybe even the 1-1-1. If you don't know how to stop the 1-1-1, maybe we'll go over that and cover that in one of these casts during their week, and we'll attribute it to you. We'll dedicate it to you guys. So, something to think about for now. This will be the first episode of Into the Void, which I'll post up later throughout the week on YouTube. You can find them all on YouTube. I'll give you the link of that as well. It's just going to be youtube.com/Archon Overwhelming. Post it in there. You can check it out, view, subscribe if you want. It's not that pretty yet, but it will be when I finish working on it. It's under construction right now. Alright, and that sums us up. We'll see you guys next week. At the same time, it's going to be Wednesday at 8 p.m. next week. Anything else, Jshore?
No, that's it. It was much more interesting and, well, I don't know. We talked a lot longer than I thought we would.
Yeah, definitely.
I pictured a 20-minute show ended awkwardly with, I don't know what to say anymore.
There's a lot to figure out.
And we actually didn't even touch one of the matchups, and we're having to cut it short because we're running over. So I think this is going to work.
I think so. A little bit of revising, a little bit of criticizing.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll make it work. I'll restart the stream for